Let's see.
We're tired. We're sitting down now.
Hello, everybody. We're tired and we're sitting in the chairs.
This is the chill version of the prize giveaway.
Okay, so if I could have everybody's attention as we're kind of mingling and kind of circling back in from lunch, let's get started back. We are going to start the afternoon, but before we do that, we're going to start with our next donation and prize giveaway, which is from Cindy Storm's Red Earth Sanctuary. And if some of you don't know, I'm just going to do a quick read. She focuses her practice on working with women doing integrated massage and body working and coaching. She also recently launched a new service line of Feng Shui. Hope that's not shui. Is it feng shui? Is that how you said it? Oh, nice. I've never seen it spelled that way. I usually spell it F-U-N-K, whatever. Feng Shui and natural home design. You will have $250 to apply to any of her services. So
I'm sorry, did you say $250?
I said 200. Let's clap it up for the $250. That is serious. That's bigger than my bank account.
And there are two of them out there, actually.
There's two? Okay, so that's... Only going to do one right now. Okay, so... let's see. Sunset Gun Productions, Candy Simmons, where you at, Candy? Candy!
All right.
She's bouncing.
What's the next prize? Well, Candy's coming up here, sorry.
Let's do the Minnesota Rock.
No, we do. Go ahead.
Okay. This next one is donated by Lisa Arnold, and the item is Minnesota Rocks Mosaic.
That's art.
Yes.
It's art.
I didn't know that because I rap. Let's see. I'm kidding. Made from rocks from the Mississippi River Gorge. Yo, that's nice. That's dope. Okay, so let's see who is going to be our winner for this one. Flip, turn, pick, grab. Demand Quest. I know these folks.
Rachel.
Chief Marketing Clarity. Demand Quest, Rachel, you in the building? You in the spot? You here?
We'll figure it out. Somebody's looking for Rachel, too.
I will accept this gift on her behalf. She can be here. Okay, that's cool.
Next.
We have 2 tickets to Brave New Workshop.
Okay. Donated by John Sweeney. Is he the guy that was here last year? And he was hilarious. He's funny as hell. Okay. He was. He was cursing and everything. All right, let's see. Let's see this. Giant steps.
I bet we could get some curse words out of the next panel if we wanted to.
I hope so. And this goes to Allison Brorin. I'm tearing up everybody's name. Hey, what's up? You won something.
You won something. Is that it?
One more. We've got one more gift to give away. The signed copy of Already Pretty from Sally McGraw.
So Sally moderated the panel this morning.
Oh, okay. She was great. She was dope.
She moderated your panel this morning.
It was our panel. Ours. Remember? Collaboration. Our panel. Oh, sorry. We love you, but we don't love you that much, Chromatic. Let's try this one. Elizabeth Tao, Holistic Health Life Practitioner, Spiritual Counselor.
All right.
Hey.
Great.
Nice.
So we have just a couple of announcements. How's everybody doing? You doing okay? You're not going to fall asleep after lunch now, right? Because all these folks are going to be super interesting. We have just a couple of announcements. Make sure we have a new photographer, but we're still doing headshots back here. So make sure you get your photo taken if you haven't already. If you have already, you can also get your photo taken again if you want. It's okay. We won't tell. TPT is in the corner over there. If you haven't talked to them, go talk to them and record your short little video, please, and all the other stuff that's out there. Brandon, will you come up here and talk about the after party, please? So we're having a happy hour right after this and then an after party tonight, thanks to some folks here in the room.
Hello. My name is Brandon Commodore. I am a musician here in the Twin Cities. I have a band called MPLS, and we are playing tonight down at Bunkers. Everybody know where Bunkers is? Yeah, fantastic. So I got this little app on my phone that at about 10 o'clock I press this button and all your wristbands, like, it turn into magnets and, like, it brings you down to Bunkers. And if it doesn't, like, if you try to resist, like, you explode or something like that.
That sounds like house arrest, man. That sounds like the police.
Yeah, you know, whatever it takes to get people in the building, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully you don't resist, and I get to see y'all tonight. If you can't make it, I'm sorry. what's going to happen to you is pretty bad. It was nice to meet you. I hope you enjoyed Giant Steps, but it's over now. So for everyone else, tonight we're going to have a good time. It's going to be quite a bit of everything, some hip-hop, some R&B, some soul, some pop. We're going to cover the gamut so everybody can enjoy it. Live music, bunkers pour stiff drinks, so be careful. There's free popcorn for you people who need popcorn for whatever reason. If you would like to eat as opposed to dance, that takes care of that. I think that's it. 9:30 p.m.
Okay, so if you have your wristband, you get in for free to the after party.
So don't rip it off.
But bring all your friends, and they have to pay a little bit, $7. But yeah, you'll get in for free.
9:30 to 1 a.m.
So we about to be partying.
So we'll
like,
give
for
the
real.
marathon badges out at the end of the night. But thank you to MPLS for this was a gig that you guys have booked already, and you're willing to let us join in. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get started.
And before we get into our next plenary/panel, I just want to bring the chant back. So when I say giant, you guys say steps. Giant, steps. Giant, steps. Giant. Steps. You guys are great.
I think that works.
So if you want popcorn, come to the after party. If you want to eat instead of dance.
All right.
Fucking hilarious.
So please welcome our next panel. Kevin, I'll let you get it started and introduce everyone, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Check 1, 2. How's everyone doing? Can I have all my panelists to the stage, please? That's all I got. All right, so this panel is about when you have a brand, a company, or whatever you're trying to promote, and how can you stand out, be unique, and really maximize what you're doing just by how you approach it in that way. And I want to start off with just going down the line and just introduce who you are and what you do, and maybe mention one thing that you think is unique about your brand.
Hey everybody, I'm Sameh Wadi. I'm the chef and owner of Saffron Restaurant, World Street Kitchen, and also Spice Trail. There's a business coming up that's going to be a full-service catering company, W&W, and the list goes on and on and on. And what makes me different is I'm in a restaurant business and I keep going. I'm still in it.
I'm Ashanti Abdullah. I'm the sales and marketing manager at Rhymesayers Entertainment. I think what probably makes them different is their fan base.
Hi, my name is Ananya. I am a choreographer. I make dance with a really particularly powerful, loud, and opinionated and talented group of women of color. And it's about social justice work.
I'm Karoline Wells. I run a cosmetic company called the Elixery. I'm a cosmetic chemist, and what makes us different is that we actually manufacture our own products, which is pretty rare these days.
So in having a brand and trying to stand out, you're going to try a variety of different things, and some things work and some things may not work as well. Can you give some examples of different things you've tried and how they work to your advantage, and maybe how they didn't work to your disadvantage? Anyone want to start with that?
Not me.
I'm coming with the hard questions.
I'll start.
Out the gate.
I can start.
Okay.
I think that the one thing I've learned is trying to fit in just doesn't work ever. So I feel like, in this context, but also in other contexts, I've felt different. So I just feel like play up my difference, be as different in your face as I like. And that's just, not for its own sake, but that's just because that's who I am. And that's worked best. It never works when I try to tame myself down and say, okay, I'll behave and I'll sit back. That doesn't work, because then I lose myself.
I would actually agree with that and expand on that. I think if you're doing a brand, and I see a lot of people copying other brands to try to expand their own presence, because they look at something that someone else is doing and think, oh, that's working, and so they'll just do the same thing. And I think that comes off as very inauthentic, when you're not yourself. So yeah, I think that as far as standing out goes, definitely kind of looking at yourself and seeing what your personal oddities, everything about you is going to come out in that brand. So I think that's a good thing, and you can use that to your advantage.
What was the question again?
Some specific things you might do to stand out as a brand and how they work for your advantage or disadvantage, but sometimes some things you try to do may work or not work, and what are those examples, and what are the results?
I think that's actually a very good question in terms of what do you use as an advantage or disadvantage? It changes from scenario to scenario, right? And your strong points are actually end up being weaknesses in certain instances, because you're so set on your ways. And so that's a deep question, man. Yeah, it's a good one. Think about it. For all of you, think about that one. And then answer me. So let me know what you think. We can meet up later. I'll buy you a beer or a non-alcoholic beverage, whatever you like.
So here's one thing that I'm gonna throw out. This is freestyle. When you're promoting a brand and things like that, there's different platforms, whether it's directly in your business, in your work. There's social media, different ways of promotion. So how are you doing things differently on those platforms, but still maintaining a uniform, to your total vision? Is there some different ways you approach those things, and differently and the same, that you can get the same message in different places?
I know from our side, we definitely approach all platforms as they are. So we use each platform for the way they're supposed to be used, and I'm sure you're probably speaking about socially, correct?
Yeah.
Sure. So for like a Facebook or for Instagram or those things, we use those platforms the way they're supposed to be used. We don't link them together. They're all separate areas of exploration for us. I think we come up with a clear and concise original message, and then we kind of disseminate those between those things.
How you use different platforms to promote and be unique?
For me, as a chef, as a restaurateur, entrepreneur, I absolutely hate social media, because it goes against everything that I try to do by bringing people together. We're sitting down at a meal, and everyone is tweeting their picture. I'm like, eat it, don't tweet it, damn it. Like, enjoy it. We're at the moment. I was at a concert, and everyone had their phone up in the air. I'm like, what are you enjoying it? Or are you watching what you're recording? And I understand the power of the social media. I understand what it means. I'm 30 years old, but I feel like I'm 70 when it comes to social media. Like, my mom schools me on social media. It's kind of funny, but I try it in the restaurant. I try to engage with people in the different platforms, and I fail miserably because I have the same voice in every single thing. So a thing that I started to think about is bringing people that are actually good at it. So if any of you here are good at it, reach out me later. There's also a beer involved. Can talk.
Just generally beer.
Very quiet group today.
We're going to be going out here for questions, so the quiet group will have time to loosen up. So we'll go there in a little bit. So anyone else want to add to that?
I think that social media is really useful, and we use a lot of social media channels. But I find that another way that we like to do things is to connect actually with our audience directly, kind of like what you were saying. I mean, there's something very experiential about what I'm doing as well, and so it's nice to get feedback directly from people and just actually have them try on the product and not just look at something that we said on the internet. So I think that that's also useful, and it's something that gets neglected now because everybody's looking at social media, but actually connecting with your audience is really important.
I think I find social media very useful. And that's because I'm engaged in dance, and it's a non-productive labor. You dance, there's nothing produced at the end of it, a thing. There's no thingness in dance, right? It disappears, so it's an experience. So I feel that being able to connect, and I'm interested in connecting with a global community of people who are engaged in artistic labor. So how I feel that's what enables me to connect with people. But ultimately, social media is about relationships. And I feel like it enables me to connect with people that then I can say, oh, okay, let's meet up somewhere. And then it often offers me that. I just remember one of the great dance experiences of my life was I met this older woman from, my own state, Bengal, in India. And she just said, look, I'm going to discover this. I'm going to work with these women who work in this village. Would you come? I knew her only on Facebook. And I said, okay. And then I just went, and I just learned so much about this group of women who are working at the edge of a really impoverished village. So I just think it's about, if you can build that relationship, great. Take that cue and jump.
I think in the form of the music business, obviously social media is quite integral to what we do. I think it's afforded us the ability to create advocates for us, brand advocates that they may only go to a concert when it comes to their town, and they may not live in Minneapolis, but they can definitely advocate for us and all over the world. So I think it is super important for us. But once again, staying engaged with those people and not just pumping information out there or sales information, but actually giving back and having some sort of conversation with them.
Another thing that I think is interesting is, like, obviously, when you have a company or a business and you're trying to promote it, and you have your own vision of what you want that to be, like, personally, and so you bring on people to work with you in that. What are some of the challenges or ways you help direct people who work with you to kind of maintain your vision and your brand and maximize that, like your employees, people you're working with, and kind of keying in on your message and personal goals?
I absolutely love that question. I'm also a believer that you can't really manage people. You manage your expectations of people. Kind of getting people to follow suit in what you're trying to do. There's always a little bit of a disconnect there. Bringing people that are good at what they do and then teaming up with them and giving them some of that creative outlet to be able to do what they're doing well, I think is essential in this case. And managing a business is already difficult enough. Add on to it everything that's involved with that, and you end up losing a little bit of yourself, and then your business starts to take a little bit from everybody else that's working with you. So hopefully you've surrounded yourself with good people, at least funny ones, maybe, so you can at least laugh at the end of it. So.
You want to add to that anymore?
Yeah, I think it's basically the same thing. I think in our case, and I say our because Kevin and I work together, but I think in our case, it's obvious that we bring people into the fold that are people that are already kind of involved in some way, shape, or form, or completely understand what our message is and how we conduct business as it is already. So a lot of those people kind of can come in hitting the ground running, and there's not a big period of, well, this is what it is, and all of that. It just they're part of those people. Some of those people we've connected with on social, or some of those people that we've connected with at shows. I mean, literally, that's how we find our core.
As someone who's trying to work with, I'm trying to work with art as a way of building community, particularly among global communities of color, I'm very clear that representation by itself is not going to change things. It's how you represent yourself or people. How do we put forward ourselves? So I think when we've worked at the level of, in our relationship building, we've worked at the level of clarifying what we stand for, and we've clarified identity, I think then it's an easy go. But I really do think I'm very careful about what I'm also not my daughter, so I don't write on Facebook every time I sneeze. So, but I think there is a way in which we can use this to build platforms, and I'm always thinking of how do we build fora. how can I build a forum where other artists and other artists of color, other women can have a voice? So for me, it's very important to think about how what I'm putting out there.
Well, our team just got done with sort of a rebranding, and as part of that, everyone insisted that we have this mission statement. And I was thinking, oh, mission statement, that's so corporate, you know. But when we actually sat down and did it, it was actually very empowering, I think, because we sort of went through and encapsulated everything that we believed in one sentence. And I refer back to that quite a bit, you know. So I think that having something like that, you know, doesn't have to necessarily be a cheesy corporate thing, but it can be like a touchstone for what you're trying to accomplish. So.
Yeah, I like to kind of. Actually, I was thinking that was a good ending for that. I want to kind of build on that, and like, you know, talking about branding and also really about how your business and what you do relates to you personally, and how you want to kind of bring out your personality or your goals, and, you know, into your work. So what are some challenges you find in, like, you know, just like being able to have the vision in your head of what you want it to be and turning it into something that's actually marketable, sellable, profitable, taking that as a brand and making that work?
First of all, not everything's going to be that way. Everything in your head, you're not going to be able to sell. Like, that's the big, that's a big challenge in itself.
Here's the point.
Just, you see how I did that. I think if you have people around you, like you're saying, when you build your team around you that you trust, I think those are the people that you first disseminate this information to. And if it makes it past that filter, I think maybe you might be onto something. But I think having those people that kind of check you are always great. Yes men, you'll burn real fast. So.
Ditto.
You know, we make choices every time we put something, you know, we put ourselves out there, we say something about ourselves. And I think what I've told myself again, it's okay, I'm not known for being nice, that's okay. I'm not known for niceness or politeness. And it's okay, because every time we make a choice, there are implications for that choice. As long as we're ready for it. And you know, after this many years, I'm ready, yeah.
Let me see what we had here on the list. We might have kind of covered this a little bit, but I think it's going to be some different angles here for this one. How do you use what's unique about you or your business to tell a story and build a following? How do you actually use that and then turn that actually into building people to come to your restaurant, buy your records, go to your shows, or buy your products? How do you do that?
Gangster rap made me do it.
Me too. No.
We're done here.
Well, I don't know. Like I was saying, I mean, just allowing your personality to come out, because your brand kind of becomes a living thing. It's sort of, you know, and people are going to interpret it, you know, in ways that you don't necessarily want them to interpret it. But you know, if you let yourself come out in it, it's going to become more like, it's going to become something more real that they can you know, attach to and identify with. So I think, you know, as far as like putting yourself into it, and letting your own quirks and your own personality and your own everything come out in it, it's actually kind of a scary thing to do, but I think people relate to it a lot better. So.
Go ahead.
The funny thing about the music business is that if you're in it, you're in it, and you do it because you love it. It's definitely not a place where you can come and work for a few hours a day and then leave. It's just, and I'm sure it's the exact same for all of you. It is something that is totally your personality and it's part of your life. Sure, you can put on other hats at times and do other things, but at the very core basis of it, for myself, music is what drives me every single day. I don't even know if that answers your question. I'll accept it. Can't wait to talk about this on Monday.
What did he win? What did he win?
A special meeting after the panel.
Hey, I'm hiring, man. Come on. For me, this question is a loaded question in terms of as a chef. I was born in the Middle East. I lived most of my childhood there, and I moved to the United States when I was about 13, 14 years old. And so I'm a Arab American, like to the core. I'm half American, half Arab. And sometimes those sides don't mix well. Like I hate myself for doing certain things because, and in a business especially, when I started cooking, I had an undertones of Middle Eastern food in my language of my food. And so I kind of, when I speak and I speak in writing a menu, I had that undertone, and so I was kind of pigeonholed as being the Middle Eastern chef, the guy that only cooked the Middle Eastern food, the guy that only could do the things that he grew up with. Even though I was kind of making him a little bit more modern in my mind, I'm making him a little bit more acceptable for the American palate, if you will. I was the Middle Eastern chef, so for me there was the challenge of like it was too much of me in the brand. And I needed to like step back a little bit and bring something else to the table. And it took about 3 years or 4 years of having Saffron open for me to actually realize that there's too much of me in the brand. Something was to happen to me. The brand is all lost. So I started to diversify myself. I started to think outside of what would I do, and then I would do the exact opposite. So my second venture was World Street Kitchen, and I went the exact opposite and went international street food. So here I am making Vietnamese pho, and like, what the hell does an Arab guy know about pho? You know, like, doesn't make any sense. But I challenged myself, and I tried to step away from too much me in the business, and that's been an eye-opening experience. I've learned a lot about myself. I learned that I have Vietnamese grandmothers. That I channel when I'm making the pho. It's great.
The pho is very good, by the way.
Exactly, and so I dare you to do that. I dare you. No, seriously, I dare you to look inside and step away from yourself for a minute and just see what the opposite, who's the opposite of you, and see what that person would do, and try it. Just give it a try. You may fail miserably, or it may be a revelation, but it takes a lot to admit that. I'm in rehab for it.
You want to add to that? Your uniqueness and how you use that to build a story and the challenges in doing that? Anything?
You know, I grew up in Bengal, which had the longest run with a communist government. This is what I learned from the Bengali left. The moment you apologize, you lost it. The moment, I'm not saying you can't be open-minded. I think you must be open-minded. But if you apologize for yourself all the time and say, oh, okay, sure, I'll just adjust a little bit here. People just don't like that. They stop trusting you. People trust you when you're just like saying the same thing over and over again, but you're saying it with the conviction that you've earned through the fire of your work. So.
I need you on my team. Like really bad.
All right, I want to go to some questions, but I'll do one more thing before we do that. So get some questions ready out there. So we've kind of covered some of these things a little bit, but let's maybe get something particular. If people here, a lot of it here for networking, and also they have their own things they want to do and grow their own businesses and companies and individuals. Any particular strategy you can give in standing out and making your brand stand out? Any particular tip you would give someone, a do or a don't, in doing that?
I think from the very beginning of it all, whatever your product is, whatever it is that you're putting out there, even if it's your own personal brand, it better be good. Like, that's just the bottom line. It has to be good. It has to be great. It has to, I think you need to ask yourself, why would anyone buy, touch, feel, smell, whatever they're going to do with your product? Why would they do that? Yep. Then once you get past that question, I mean, that's like the basis of it all. Quality.
I agree. I don't think there's any branding that can overcome a quality issue. I mean, you can have a great splash and people can think it's really neat, but they won't continue to purchase your product, to engage with you if it's not good. So
a lot of one-hit wonders out there.
Yeah. I'll say this because I don't know anything about running a business. But I do, I'll say this for any of young artists of color who are out there, excellence, of course, but also just claim your difference, man, because I feel the most important thing is, you know, when you're out there and there are so many situations when you're by yourself and your brown self is just out there and you're sweating because, you know, like it's a little scary and dangerous sometimes. Just stand your ground. Just stand your ground, grow roots under your ankles, under your heels, and you'll stand taller at the end of the day. It's just hard. At that moment, it gets hard. But it's going to be okay at the end of the day.
You know, when you say claim your difference, that's something that actually, that we have a similarity in the cosmetic industry, I think, to art in a way, because 80 to 90% of the brands out there fail. And it's because it's such a hyper-competitive industry, which is real similar to music and art and restaurants even. And you know, if you don't differentiate yourself and if you don't express to people why, you know, they should listen to or purchase your product over someone else's, you're not going to survive. So you really have to figure out, and it's constant thinking, because once you come up with a good idea, someone will use it, and then you're no longer different, and then you're going to have to keep changing. And so you have to constantly be thinking about what makes you different. So. Yeah.
Questions?
Not all at once, folks. Not all at once. Bring it down.
Back here.
I keep asking questions today, but I'm just curious about the moments that you guys are talking about when you rebrand yourself. So, thank you. Yeah, I'm just curious about the moments of rebranding yourself. You know, I think you talked about it with your cosmetic business. You were operating in one way, and then you changed. How was that transition for you, and did you lose a lot of your customers, or how did you get new customers, blah, blah, blah?
It's kind of a tightrope act, because you don't want to alienate your former fan base, but at the same time, I think you have to be willing to, in some capacity. You have to kind of figure out what exactly what your core is of your business as an entity, and then you know, what changes you can make without completely alienating everybody, but at the same time, you have to be willing to. You have to say, okay, what is going to move me forward? And if that means that, you know, a lot of people are going to be angry because I did something differently this time, you have to decide whether you're willing to do that, I think.
Anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, I would love to add to that one. And this is a question that in a restaurant business I answer maybe 30 times a day to my own head, because everything changes constantly, and there's new restaurants opening every day, and what was exciting today is not exciting tomorrow. Everyone is jumping on trends and what they want to do. And so, yeah, you do have to assimilate to a certain extent. For me, as a chef, several years back in Saffron, you know, when I first opened up Saffron, I wanted it to be a fine dining temple in my mind. That's what I wanted, the food to be Middle Eastern influence, but I wanted it to be a fine dining temple. And then 2009 hit. Oh shit, the economy fell. I'm screwed. What do? Do I keep on doing what I want to do, or do I adjust? I kept doing what I wanted to do for several years until I looked at my bank account and looked at my brother and said, shit, we got to do something. So we ended up shutting down for a week, got rid of a few pieces of equipment in the kitchen, and did just a little bit of a facelift in the restaurant. Removed the white tablecloth, removed the fancy china, and I put menu items on the menu that my former self, 4 years before, was not confident enough in putting these menu items on the menu because they weren't fancy enough. So I did that. I assimilated, I changed, the economy kind of started picking back up, and I opened up as Saffron 2.0, if you will. Kind of what in my mind, like, it's growing up. So it was a child, now it's a teenager. And we've been at it for 7 years, and that's probably the best decision that I made in terms for that restaurant was that little minor change. And the core stayed the same. I stayed true to myself. I stayed true to my regulars. I kept some of the menu items from day one, but I also brought on new menu items and I presented them a little bit differently. So I brought in a different fan base. And 7 years in the restaurant business, that's the equivalent of, I think, 45 or so in like normal years. And so, you know, I think it's good to rebrand. Look at what you're doing and say, where is this going? What's the future of what I'm doing? And one thing that all of us up here share is that most people that are in our shoes actually fail. And so congratulations to all of you for not, you know? Yeah. We won't talk about the heartache that we've all gone through, but
We might.
But failure actually can, I mean, it takes a certain kind of personality, I think, to go into an industry where it's like, well, most people fail, and I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep changing, and it really takes perseverance, so.
absolutely.
Other questions?
I have a question.
Oh.
Right here.
It's sort of in the same world as branding, but I guess from a slightly different standpoint. Like, there's this tension between a voice and a brand. How do you turn a voice into a brand? And then, as you were both talking about the audience, like there's this tension between what you want to put out and what the audience, especially after you've been doing something for a while, expects or wants from you. So I kind of want some stories, I think.
I love it. I'm going to jump on that one. Jump right on it before any of you guys. I love it. So for me, in my head, which is a sick place, Saffron was this young girl, super proper, very, very feminine, soft-spoken, and then World Street Kitchen came on, and it's her older brother that's a little bit of a shit talker, has tattoos, and is really loud. And so when we were talking about, like, you know, the feel, not only the feel of the place, but also in like social media and in promotions and everything else, even in the level of service, I had to differentiate between those two in my mind. Even though that I'm the voice of both of them, me and my brother, who's my business partner and my worst enemy and my best friend at the same time. Because he challenges me in a way that only a brother can. And so Saffron, when I speak on behalf of Saffron, a little bit more soft-spoken, a little bit more delicate, a little bit more feminine, in like social media I'm talking about. And World Street Kitchen, I got an attitude when I talk. I don't know why, but like the world owes me something. I have no idea where that came from, but it's true. I feel it every time I'm on Twitter or Facebook. Someone asks me a question at Saffron, like, I'm so sorry I had a bad experience. And at World Street Kitchen, like, fuck you. Initial response in my head. I hardly ever say it, but. You wanted swear words, you got swear words.
Hitting all the target points. Anyone to add to that? Anyone want to add?
I mean, I guess I could speak on one of our artists recently who didn't really make a branding change, but Brother Ali has kind of changed his delivery. He's expanded upon some of the themes that he kind of started talking about from the beginning of his career, and he just is like, look, I'm white, and there's a thing called white privilege, and I want to talk about that. So I think he sacrificed a lot of his fans for that. But I think he gained a lot more in a different way. So it's been interesting now working with him on kind of where do we go next. And I think a lot of the things that we go for now is a lot of his community organizing and really kind of getting into those things, because those are the things he really wants to do with his life. So it's been an interesting transition for him anyway.
I'm going to tell a story. You know, many years ago, I was watching rehearsal by Urban Busham and artistic director Jaole Villajo-Zolar. And she was choreographing this thing where, you know, so there was this coming down and they would come up like this. So she was like, I can do this and I can do that. And I feel the limitingness of the brand or the voice is what we sometimes have to look at. For artists, yeah, I'm talking, that's all I know about. So I think sometimes it becomes something that, you know, capitalism loves to do. It sort of puts us under these strictures that we have then to perpetuate ourselves in a particularly narrow line. But I think as artists, we have infinite ability to do within that range. We have infinite ability to go deeper. So, I don't point my foot and I don't know how to stand, I don't know how to do ballet, but in my own work, I can do a yogic balance and I can do really fast, furious footwork, and I can mix those two up at the same time. And I can jump on you, Monkwell, like we just did, while we dance. So I just think the more we find depthness, and therefore allowing us to go find different mood ranges. It's really important, actually, that question, because sometimes a friend once told me, if you keep on making these angry works all the time, you're going to just burn yourself out. So I was like, shit, yeah, I'm going to die. So really, really trying to, traveling from the anger to a place of earned joy has been the journey, I think.
I think the question is back here.
Yeah. First of all, World Street Kitchen food truck, in my opinion, is a temple. So no apologies needed. So we talked about failure. I think as it relates to brand and voice, each one of you probably has a story of success. Identify for us, either externally or internally, a story of what helps you understand what potential success means and how you really tie into that. And I know Ashanti specifically, you've got a keen eye for it.
On the spot.
No pressure.
Ask me that question again, Bob.
We talked about failure. Let's talk about how you perceive potential success.
Yeah.
Either internally or externally.
Yeah. I don't know. Truthfully, I think that there are some general qualities that I feel are good qualities in life, whether that be in a brand or a person or something like that, right? I think that's kind of the basis of what I can perceive that someone will be successful. You have, I hate to put him back on the spot, but you have those qualities. Some people can build things with nothing, and those are the people that I tend to attract, really attract myself to. That's how I got attracted to Rhymesayers. Rhymesayers built a company with nothing. That's how I started, even with Manifest and other people. We built from, who graciously is the host of this thing, we built from zero. And I really like people that are resourceful like that. And if you can have a little bit of success at that resourceful level, I think adding something to that will create something amazing. Being yourself 100% all the time, never kind of wavering on being someone who's not willing to just jump on a trend or something like that, someone who's really going to keep, the core of who they are together. I think that's some of it. But I think it just goes down to the people. If it's a company, it's the people. It's the people. You know that. That's your motto. It's the people.
I think that's a great word, resourceful, because I think people, that's mine.
That's yours.
That's the word I picked.
You stole it from me.
Hey, I got it in my side of my soul. But yeah, that's a very good word. Anyone else want to add to that? Anything else?
Success? Yeah. I have two things that I think about when I think of success. When I think about dance and social justice, it's, I'm always like, oh my God, everyone tells me, my God, these heavy stories, these sad stories. Someone once wrote me an anonymous letter, oh, it's great that you dance all these, stories, but dance is about lightness and joy. I was like, whatever. But, so I just think that I feel when I don't know, I don't have a success story, but I have two things that I keep in mind. I want to ignite desire. That's my word. My word is anch. Anch means heat. I want heat. I want to ignite desire among people. Anyone who will join the movement. That's what social change is for me. And the other one, I remember, the words of this Nigerian poet, dance your anger and your joys, dance the guns to silence. I don't think that's metaphoric. But I'm still trying to figure out, what does it mean to dance the guns to silence? To me, that's the success I'm looking for one day.
I would love to add to that one a little bit. A question for you. What is success? Wrong. You're wrong. Keep going. Wrong. In order to be successful at one thing, you're going to fail at another thing. I'm successful in my business. I'm a terrible friend, even worse, boyfriend, husband. I'm the worst. So I fail at certain things because I give more to my business. So how do you want to balance that? Who's more successful? A guy that has a family that, 7 kids and a wife that loves him, and he works at FedEx, or a guy that has an empire but goes home to an empty nest?
All right.
Striking balance.
Question in the back, I believe.
Yes, mine is a question and a comment at the same time. You spoke about social media. Someone said social media is actually an impediment to his business, which is in some way right, but most of you said that it was good. I'm a software engineer myself, but I know that technology also can help people do bad things faster and quicker. So if you go and tweet, your competition can copy you and tweet, and actually tweet better than you and even faster than you. So technology has made your competition stronger, has made you do things quicker, but they are not good for your business. But because you can do them quickly and massively, and then you end up with $0 in the bank. So my question to you is, because the technology, the tools we have are not a replacement for a good marketing plan, good processes, good structure. Myself, I run a small business in software, and I saw that the business needs that old-fashioned way of running businesses, like market research, a marketing plan, quantification of what you are doing, your calls, counting, and whatever. So what are you doing? Can you speak to the processes in whatever you are doing and the things that you are fixing before you jump into the technology tools, that old-fashioned approach? What has made you successful? Thank you.
I would say taking giant steps.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Take giant steps towards whatever it is that you love, that your passion is in. I mean, this whole deal that we're doing right now is really, I mean, think about it, giant steps. Every single person is doing that, but whether by being in social media or hating social media, you're taking a giant step, and you just have to believe it. I mean, it's just that.
Well, this panel is mostly about standing out in marketing, but what you're saying is very accurate, that some of those old-fashioned methods have to be used still. A lot of people will rely on marketing or social media, but in reality, it's distribution, and there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that people don't necessarily think about. So I would agree with that, and then that's the way to success is actually giant steps. You have to go in those directions and not just worry about what you're tweeting. So
I think our business, and even personally myself, have survived on personal relationships. Yep. I think that, let's be honest, before anything else, personal relationships are probably the most important thing, genuine ones, right? Meeting new people and taking the time to understand those people and understand what they're about. But I think that at its very core is what has definitely kept our business afloat. And me.
More questions? Anyone? Questions?
Yeah, peace. I just, back to the questions of like rebranding. My question is, how do you rebrand sort of your brand but maintaining integrity? For example, if you're an artist and the constant evolution of yourself as an artist, but because rebranding sometimes can, you can sort of get lost in the haze of, going from this stage to this stage. So how do you maintain that integrity, but at the same time being competition with your brand? That makes sense?
Absolutely. I think you just have to keep the goal in mind. What is the goal of rebranding?
Yeah.
Is it just to rebrand and just say, hey, look at me, I'm rebranding? No, it's to go forward. Is it to go backwards? Is it to be your old self? That's the question. And then once you answer that question, shit becomes clear.
Rebranding with purpose.
Yeah, with purpose, and whatever fulfills the goal that you had, and the goal that you have. That's the purpose of rebranding.
Anyone have any examples of that? Maybe you've done that, and then had like this certain thing, like I want to rebrand for this reason or for this goal. You have any examples of that?
I do. Me.
I figured that might be true.
So we talked about when I shut down a restaurant for 7 days, which is the most ridiculous thing that you can do in a restaurant business, is tell people, no, you can't come spend your money here. Instead, I'm going to put a bunch of money in my restaurant. The whole idea came from finding an old cookbook that my mother and my father found or wrote back in the 1989 through 1992. They wrote this book that was about the Encyclopedia of Palestinian Cuisine. And if any of you here know, the word Palestinian is a very, very strong word. You may love it or hate it, but the fact that somebody is here talking about the encyclopedia of a cuisine, and the book that my mom and my dad, kind of put their soul and heart into, I found it in its raw stages. It didn't get published because, war. And so I found that book, and I'm flipping through it, and a particular recipe caught my interest, and it's my grandmother's slow-cooked green beans. And those, it's kind of, I looked at the recipe, and I went, it's been so long since I've eaten this. Memories started to come back to me. And all of a sudden, a light bulb came up, and I went to my brother, and I said, here's what my idea is. And he, at this point, we hadn't talked about, shutting down. And so he had no idea what was going on in my head, as most of the time. And I said, I want to put this dish on the menu, overcooked green beans, and charge people $7 for them. And so he said, you're absolutely crazy. This does not fit anything that we're doing. This doesn't fit our brand. This doesn't fit you as a chef. You're a little bit more delicate, and you're gonna overcook green beans and sell them for $7. Minnesotans won't get it. I said, I believe that we've developed enough following, and we can get people behind it. And so after maybe an hour of me telling him, yes, we're gonna do it, he finally agreed and said, all right, this menu item will never come off the menu, right? Said, nope. This whole change was inspired by a single menu item, a single memory that I had, and it helped me kind of understand myself a little bit more, going back to my roots. So I actually went backwards in my kind of recovery mode, if you will. It's interesting. Where everyone is thinking about, what's next, what's going on, what's the hot trend, what's popping right now. I'm thinking, what did my grandma do? Let's do that. It's backwards, right? Not many people think that that's forward thinking, but in my own way, I thought that was the most forward thinking thing that I could do while everyone is talking about molecular gastronomy and foams and purees and this and that, and I'm like, overcooked green beans, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Shout out, Grandma.
Get another question out here?
Mm-hmm. In a 6-month period, maybe 3 months, maybe it'd be a week or a month, do you create...
Very specific, I love it.
Do you create or brand or create a product or direct your entire brand regardless of whether or not people are listening or waiting or watching, or do you specifically tailor that 6-month period for that audience to turn out?
So I guess
it's a deep question, man.
Yeah, like, is your branding based on your own thing, or do you follow where your audience typically go? Like, we got to go there for our brand because.
Yeah, I think anyone who knows Rhymesayers knows we pretty much have done it the same way every time because it works and because we wanted to grow not super fast. We wanted to grow at our own pace. Even like with Soundset, which is something we throw every year. We looked at it after this year. It was a super successful year. And we said, you know what? If we do it again, awesome, but we're not going to reach for it, right? We're just going to allow it to organically happen. So I think, I don't even know if that is answering your question. What was your question? Sorry.
Word. Would you create or direct your brand for a project for the audience to, you're keeping in mind what the audience wants, or without keeping in mind what the audience wants?
Yeah, nah, I think it's more of when you're an artist. I know from the artist side, I'm not an artist, obviously. I'm on the business side, but I know on the artist side, they do their art, you know. And if people come along with them, they do. And if they don't, they don't.
Yet, being an artist means that you sort of have your thumb at the deepest layer of the earth, so you feel the trends. And you're not doing it for people, but you're also part of your community. So you know what issues people are, it's sort of bubbling at the bottom of their consciousnesses. So it's channeling life, right? It's channeling life, the way life is flowing right now.
Other questions? Yeah, where we at? Following the microphone.
I was going to ask that same question, but I will make it more specific. So in terms of brands, and I have to say, be quite honest, the word brand is starting to not connect with me in a gut level, so I'll think of another word. But anyway, as artists, what I'm really interested in is, we talked a lot about that, but how about the money? I mean, how much is your brand? Have you ever put it in a chart form? When you pivot your brand, where does the dollar amount come up? I mean, when you look at your customers, and it's not really a sexy question, but at the end of the day, we have to pay the bills. And then I'm gonna say one quick comment. I don't think we can really be ourselves, because if we did, I just feel like sometimes I notice that the audience, when we're on social media, they don't really want to see all of us. They want to see the best of us, or whatever it is they want to see, a very focused way. But yeah, that first question. So dollars. How does that correlate? Wow, that was long.
They're paying me 10 stacks just to be here tonight, so I don't know about you guys. So that's how I make my money. No, not at all. I have no idea what your question is, but I'm going to answer it anyways. Gangster rap made me do it.
Me too.
No, for me, I guess it's very important to have a balance between the artistic side of me and then the business side of me, and that's the hardest thing that I've had to do as an artist, forming a restaurant and having 100 employees that depend on me to every single decision that I make is going to affect these people, and so I have to be aware of what the market is allowing. And it goes, I guess it'll answer your question as well at the same time of like, do I look at 6 months ahead of time, or do I want to please people for that short period of time? And the question is, do I want to do that? Or do I want to please them for years to come by pleasing myself, keeping myself going, pleasing my employees, and making sure that everyone that's in the core is happy? And can we produce something that these people may not like right now, but if we throw a beer in there, maybe they'll like it. So
I think through having this conversation with you guys, I'm starting to realize that I'm very happy to be on the business side and not have to do both.
Yeah.
Because that would be a lot of work. Once again, for me personally, I'm on the other side of it, right? So the artists kind of get to do what it is that they want to do, and we really worry about the dollars and cents. And there are times when we may step in the way and say, this doesn't make a lot of sense, but at the end of the day, they get to do what they want to do, and we have to follow. Like, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. A lot of times we have very, very drawn out discussions about these things and major arguments about them. But at the end of the day, once again, the goal is to put out the best possible product that you can put out, right? So sometimes you have to have those staunch conversations. But yes, I'm on the side where it is my job to make sure that everyone does. So we do things small, right? We start off with little things, and then we kind of build onto those things. Good thing about working in a small environment like this is that scalability for us is we decide how we want to do that. There's no like, okay, if we do this, we have to institute it across the world. We don't have to do that. We can do things very small, and we're so close to these markets that, you know, we're not a big, massive corporation. So
I actually have a pretty specific example of that. When I've created products before that I've decided are really ugly or I don't like them for some reason, so I try to discontinue them. And what happens is there's a mini riot because somebody loves this product, and so I'll start getting this flood of email like, will you please bring this back, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And it took me a while to realize that you know, sometimes I do have to do things that I don't necessarily isn't necessarily my favorite thing because somebody loves it, and that is a revenue stream. So it's, you know, it's something that you've got to balance between your creativity and, you know, I have to tell myself on a regular basis, I am not the arbiter of taste. This is, you know, if I think that it's ridiculous, but somebody else thinks that it's wonderful, then it's not my decision all the time to decide, you know, that, you know, what is the appropriate thing to sell. So.
Maybe like one more question, I think. Where's it gonna go? Oh.
Sorry. I guess I'll be the last question. This question is specifically for Karoline, because what strikes me about your brand is that you're a cosmetics brand who aligned yourself with somebody who's brilliant, but also whom you don't think of as like caked in makeup. And I really respect that. And I wonder what that conversation was like to decide, we're a brand, we could just hire models, but we don't have to.
I'm assuming you're talking about Dessa and
yeah.
That was a really interesting collaboration because she's not someone who wears a lot of makeup, but I think ultimately the reason that we really wanted to work with her was kind of because of that. I mean, because we're not really, I mean, I realize that I'm in the beauty industry, and so of course I believe in, you know, I love cosmetics, and, you know, but at the same time, you know, we don't try to push that standard of beauty, you know, that sort of airbrushed, perfect, you know, lots of makeup, because we're also very much into social justice. We're very much into to sort of a gender equality and you know, across the board, gender equity. And so yeah, she was a perfect match for that. And so yeah, it was an odd thing, and we talked about that quite a bit because I mean, she's like, I'm not really known for makeup, and we're like, yeah, I know. And so we tried to figure out how to do it, and we figured out the best way to do it was just to align what we had in common, and what we had in common was social justice, and that's sort of, you know, it's okay to be beautiful in the way that you're beautiful, and not in this airbrushed way that, you know, most companies do it. So.
Excellent. I think that can bring us to a nice way to close this. And you know, obviously we know that there's importance in branding, whatever you're doing. So if we could just go down the line and talk about maybe something that's current in your brand and what you're doing, a current branding strategy you're doing or about to do, or is something that's real current and recent or future to your company or what you do. Share something. On the spot. Sorry.
Love. I'm done. No, really, love.
You are totally a rapper at heart, you know that?
I am.
Get this man a contract.
You gotta love what you do, and everything will come. Every single thing that we talked about. One thing is that I have in common with these people, that we don't look alike, we don't act alike. I'm a gangster rapper, as you can all tell. None of them are. Shit, I forgot. No, it's the thing that every single one here actually loves what they do, and you can feel it. Thank you guys for the inspiration.
Yeah, same here.
Come on, more original than that.
No, I totally agree. But your question was about branding, right? And what's going on? What's current?
Branding strategy, thought?
I answered the question wrong.
I work within I'm very lucky to work within a systematic thing that it's the bottom line is what's good. Once again, what's really good. I mean, I could tell you to go there. We have a new album coming out next year, January 21st. If you want to go buy it, it's called Step Brothers. But that's
particular with that album? Branding wise, challenges or?
Yeah, there's been a lot of challenges. There's a lot of challenges with rappers in general. Sorry, Mally. Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of switching. I mean, with this one, with this specific one, we're actually taking there's these two artists that have this like really crazy dynamic with each other, and we're taking that dynamic and just going, boom, here you go. Instead of us really trying to shape it up as, okay, this is more political, or this is this, or this is that, I think this is going to be a more fun record for us than anything. So you're going to see a lot of funny stuff kind of come out around that time, within our marketing plan and stuff like that. It'll be pretty fun.
We realized some time ago that presenters in the dance world are afraid of the term social justice. They think they're women burning their bras. So I decided, and I don't have time. I'm like, now, let's do it. So I decided to do what you did, which we went all the way back, and now we have this combination of Shangram, which is actually worse. It means like daily, the daily revolution, the work that you do for your daily revolution, with Anch, which is heat, ending in dark, which is a call to action for everyone. So that's going to be on the new website stuff. By the way, 10th anniversary of the company, 2014. Woo! By the way, not all gangster rappers look alike, so maybe you're not recognizing some of us here.
Science dropped.
Well, we're a fairly new brand, but we just won a big award in New York, which was really exciting. And so we were sitting in this room with a lot of people that own these $20 million brands, and we're having dinner with these investment bankers, and it was very intimidating. But at the same time, one of the guys next to me turned around and said, "What do you make? What do you do?" And I said, "Well, we do lipstick." And he said, "Lipstick? You're going to have to be disruptive." And I thought, well, we are kind of being disruptive, but we thought about that and we really took that to heart. And so as part of our marketing in the future, we're going to be even more disruptive. So.
All right. Thanks to the panelists. Thanks for listening to great questions.
Okay, thanks. Oops. How's everybody doing? Okay? Can you hear me? All right. So we have, the next thing we have is another set of breakout sessions. So there are options across the hall. There's going to be a panel in here on making a life, making living, which is something that we do a version of every year, because as you've already heard through some of these discussions today, that we sort of believe, not we sort of, we believe that having a life is part of this, right? And the struggles that go along with that as part of it, the realities like we saw some of earlier today are part of it. So we have always made room for that conversation here on our stage. And this year you're in really good hands with Brendan Kelly, who's going to moderate this, and a whole bunch of great panelists are going to talk about it. Also great workshops happening across the hall. Beth and Taxes, I think that's the one, right? Crafting your content. And then we also have an open session space. So Owen Duckworth, who's over here, is going to help sort of facilitate that. And we wanted to create a space. If there's something that you really want to talk about that isn't on our agenda, that's the space for that. And there will be other people in there probably too who are looking for things to talk about. Get your pictures taken, talk to TPT, and everything will get going in about 10 minutes. See you soon.